Looks like we've got another culprit.
Their worst day was a bad day for me too.
All right, clearly the season for the garden has come to an end. It is actually well overdue. Done. Stick a fork in it, done. You can see here where our maters were is now a great big weedy patch, hot mess. There are a couple of stragglers still hanging on, but I imagine probably here within the next day or two, all of these will get zapped with our first frost. And actually, those will probably end up as chicken food here in a minute. So, we have got to try to get through all this nonsense, get this black landscape fabric up. Clearly, it did not do a very good job of suppressing weeds. Of course, I did not pull a single weed this year. And unfortunately, it's going to be a hot mess for a couple of years to come because a lot of this is going to seed. However, I may have a mitigation plan in place for that. Right yonder. That eggmobile is going to spend the entire winter in our garden area here picking everything that they can pick out of here. Hopefully they'll get all this grass and weeds beat down and chewed up and pooped out, and we'll have some nice fertilized ground for next year. All right, y'all, camera died. I'm gonna try and use my phone here. I haven't done this before, so hopefully it turns out. So we're getting near the end of the day. You can see back in here behind me, the shadow line here. It's just gonna keep going on up here as the sun sets back here behind the trees in front of me. Wanted to talk a minute about today's events. You've seen the video of the chicken tractor with the turkeys in it, and then certainly the empty tractor. And for those of y'all that don't know, and I suppose that's probably pretty much all of you, but maybe my family and a few close friends that see my videos, I spent a lot of years with the Wild Turkey Federation, sat on the board here for a local chapter for many years, and I worked with the Jake's program quite a bit, and even wrote a couple of articles for some local sporting magazines. Turkey hunting was my first hunting experience and my first love of hunting. So I have a soft spot in my heart for turkeys. Now, earlier in the spring, I bought a bunch of chickens from Tractor Supply, and some of those that I bought for, I think, $1 a piece on Manager Special turned out to be meat birds. And once they reached maturity or the appropriate size, I harvested those birds and put them in the freezer, and we've eaten some of them since that happened. That didn't really bother me. I won't say it didn't bother me, right? Anytime you take a life, it has an impact on you to some degree. Some's going to impact you more than others. The chickens really didn't impact me any more than, I would say, harvesting a wild turkey, right? There is a love for the animal, an appreciation for what that animal brings into your life, and you know, it is what it is. You harvest the animal and eat it, right? I mean, you hunt for food, you grow animals for food. Same principle to some degree. Now, I will say that harvesting these 3 birds, and maybe I'm glad the 4th one didn't make it. We had 4 birds when we started out in the spring, and Willie got too close to the wire one night, I guess, while he was asleep, and a raccoon got a hold of Willie and basically chewed his wing off. And I had to put Willie down when he was probably maybe a 4-pound bird, right? Tiny little bird. They were a month or two old. And, you know, I call him Willie because when I got him, he had one eye, right? If you're a Gen X like me and you don't know who One-Eyed Willie is, shame on you, right? But One-Eyed Willie had to be put down, and that left us with 3 birds. And it turned out we had 2 hens and 1 gobbler left in the bunch. And I have come out here every day and moved those birds all over this field here and fed them and watered them. And you know, the gobbler got to the point where rooster's crowing. The gobbler got to the point where he would let me come up and pet him. Even when he was eating, I could rub the back of his head. So I have to say that I can't hardly even say it. It got to me to harvest those birds today. And as I'm looking across the field here in front of me, looking at that empty tractor, it still bothers me. I don't know how to explain it. I knew when I bought those birds that they were destined for the freezer. Right? I've moved them and fed them and raised them from day-old poults until they were mature birds. And actually, probably over mature. I let them grow longer than I should have because I got distracted with the cabin and mowing and tractors and all the other farm stuff that goes along with having a farm, right? And so they lived out their days pretty well, and they had a lot of good days, and they had one bad day, and that was today. And to be honest with you, their worst day was a bad day for me too. I know that harvesting animals is what farming is about, right? If you're raising animals and not harvesting them, they're pets. We don't have pets here on the farm. But like I said earlier, anytime you take a life, it impacts you. I am sad to see them go, but we do have 10 more meat birds in the brooder now that will be coming out into this chicken tractor, and we'll finish them off probably mid to late October. So we needed the space, and as I said, they had been around longer than they should have been. So the garden didn't really get done today. We didn't accomplish hardly anything other than pulling out the Premier One netting from around it. I think what I'm going to do is set that Premier netting up around the garden and put the chicken or the eggmobile in there and just let the chickens have the run of the thing probably all winter long, and then we'll come in and get up the landscape fabric and the drip tape and all that stuff at some point along the way. But there you go. We have chickens left. We have egg layers and 10 meat birds coming up here pretty soon. But the turkeys are gone. And I've driven by there several times since it's, you know, we've gotten done and gotten everything cleaned up, and I look over expecting them to be in there, and they're not there. The feed bucket and the water bucket, they're just swinging in the wind, and it's vacant. That's part of farming. I guess maybe it's a little more difficult than I had anticipated as a first-time farmer, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of left a hole in me to some degree, but it's something that I'm going to have to come to terms with, and and just do better. That's part of farming. So I am thankful to those animals for the satisfaction I've had all spring and summer and here into early fall, and I certainly am thankful that they're going to feed many members of my family here in the coming months. So there you go. Well, looks like we've got another culprit. He got some knots missing out of the corner of his ear. Just curled up, hanging out. I don't know that we're going to carry this one all the way down to the river. He's not much of a predator. They're more of a scrounger or a scavenger than they are a predator. Now, given the opportunity, will he eat a chicken? 100%. But I don't believe it's going to get through that electric netting. So I think what we're going to do is just take this one here down to the back of the property and let it go on its merry way. Well, apparently they're not a fan of the tall bushy garden here. They're not really sure what to do. I think this black landscape fabric here probably feels a little weird to them. They've never stepped on this stuff or really anything other than grass and dirt and the inside of the trailer. So it's probably just going to take them a little bit to get used to it. You can see some of them already starting to go to town on weed seeds and such. Just take them a minute to get acclimated. Same way as it did when I moved them into the trailer here. Appreciate y'all joining us. If you stuck around this long, we would love to have you stick around longer. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Ring the notification bell if you want to. Feel free to give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. We certainly appreciate all of you that have subscribed so far, and we enjoy the comments as long as they're not distasteful, I guess. Yeah, so there you go. Appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have a great week. We'll see you on the next one. There's Larry. How you doing, Larry? Larry the possum. Almost like he knows.